This is NDTV and you are watching NDTV Prime.
Welcome to a brand new episode of CNB Bazaar Buzz here on the NDTV network. I am Cyrus Dabar, and as always, it's a packed show with a big exclusive for you this week. This week on the show, the brand new Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza Automatic. We put the Ford Freestyle up against its biggest rival, the Maruti Suzuki Ignis. And two brand new sedans for India, one subcompact, one slightly larger. And I'm not going to waste any of your time. Let's get straight to the point. We have a fiery orange hot exclusive for you today on this show. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. The brand new Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza Automatic.
The Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza AGS or AMT has arrived, finally, and we've driven it first and exclusive. A long pending variant for this best-selling compact SUV, this was always something the market and people like me had been demanding. Maruti has been selling around 12,000 units of the Brezza every month, and so it didn't really need any help with trying to keep volumes up. In fact, it really was manufacturing capacity constraints that have held back variants of certain popular models. So, Maruti has taken its tried and tested Magneti Marelli sourced automated manual transmission actuator system, or AGS as Maruti calls it, for the familiar 5-speed manual gearbox and brought it to the Vitara Brezza range. The same system has been seen on the Swift, Desire, though I have to say it feels better on the Brezza. Now that AMTs are here to stay, there's really no point in talking about, oh, you know, an AMT is a little bit different, not as sophisticated as a CVT or a torque converter automatic gearbox. All that is passé because, like I said, they're here to stay, and so lots and lots of models already have them and lots more will get them too. This one was always expected, and I have to tell you, it really adds a lot to the Vitara Brezza portfolio. Now, would a petrol add to it as well? For sure, but the whole advantage of the AMT is, you know, most people will be using their Vitara Brezzas in city traffic, isn't it? For the most part. And that's where the whole convenience factor really shines through, because it makes it so hassle-free. And you know what? The AMT gearbox is pretty smooth. AMT cars start from a standstill usually with a lurch forward. And boy, have we seen that on Maruti's AGS systems before. Not anymore. Unlike the Desire's AGS, the Vitara Brezza's AMT is a lot smoother. It also gets a creep function like in the TATA NEXON AMT, which helps achieve a smoother takeoff. And I am quite impressed to find that there's a total recalibration on that system based on throttle input. Now the nice thing about the gearbox is that it's holding its gear, so even at lower RPMs the gear won't shift down unless of course you slam down the accelerator because you want to do a quick overtaking maneuver, let's say. Then yes, there is that bit of a kick down feel, and it's really nice to see how quickly the gear changes down and how smoothly as well. I like that. Very different from some of the earlier gearboxes we got, especially from Maruti. And even at the higher end of that RPM cycle, you find that even in drive mode, when you're trying to really push the engine hard, it kind of holds that gear. That's nice. It holds it all the way to about 4500 RPM. So you really get that surge, because obviously when you're trying to push it down like that, that is what you're looking for. The AMT is therefore a welcome addition to the Vitara Brezza lineup. How it compares to the TATA NEXON Hyperdrive is best left to a proper shootout that will no doubt bring you soon. But I will say this, where the NEXON has more power and a slightly smoother gearbox, the Brezza has commanding SUV-like ride height and sportier handling, also nicer ride quality. So it shall be a rather pitched battle, I would reckon, and it has not escaped me that both cars donned orange to step out in their automatic avatars. Now the Vitara Brezza was always a good looking car. It maintains those proportions and continues to look just as good, except you get a new color and it has the contrast white roof, silver roof rail, white mirrors and black wheels. That's what's new in this let's say new variant that's been launched now, and it's an option that's available of course on the rest of the range. But the color, they're calling it autumn orange. It's been launched in the thick of summer and it's very much like the orange that you got on the Baleno at the start when that car first launched. So I think it looks good on the Vitara. It makes it look a little European, very contemporary, and kind of makes the car look a little larger. Though, to go with those black wheels, I feel it would have been really cool and a little hot to have a black roof as well. You can get this color on any variant, not just the AMT, and also without the contrast white roof. That's available only on the top variants. The new black wheels are also only offered on the top variant. And speaking of black, the interior has also been spruced up and given an all-black treatment. So the grey bits are gone and the dash now gets an interesting texture in its black finish. Maruti has also made safety features standard on all variants of the Vitara Brezza. So ISOFIX restraints for child seats, a speed limiter warning alert that you can set, reverse parking sensors, seatbelt pretensioners with force limiters, dual airbags and ABS with EBD, all standard. That's great news. And equipment has not really changed. You get the top end with the touchscreen and Apple CarPlay and all of that, and Maruti has played it very smart by making safety standard. Also smart is offering the AMT on the top 3 trims and not just on one variant. This means prices for this range from 8,54,000 to 10,49,000 rupees. Compare this with just the top trims on offer for the Tata Nexon AMT and the Mahindra TUV 300 AMT, with prices staying well over 10 lakh rupees, and Maruti's move looks even more attractive. Now all we have to wait for is news of the petrol model of the Vitara Brezza. For now, the AMT will no doubt boost sales of an already popular superstar.
So there you have it, a brand new variant on the Maruti Suzuki Vitara Brezza, and one which will, without a shadow of a doubt, prove to be one of the most popular automatic SUVs in India. Now though, let's move on to the big comparison we have for you on the show today. We put up the Ford Freestyle up against its biggest rival, the Maruti Suzuki Ignis. Both cross hatchbacks, both very similarly priced and both very similar design languages. So which one's best? Well, I drive them both and I have a very different answer for you today. A few years ago, one of the hottest growing segments in India were the cross hatchbacks. Strangely though, for a country that loves its subcompact SUVs, cross hatchbacks haven't taken the fancy of our car buying audiences, with the exception of one, the Maruti Suzuki Ignis. And now it has competition, the brand new Ford Freestyle. So let's see how both of these cross hatchbacks compare to each other in terms of pricing. Let's start with the petrols. The base model Ford Freestyle petrol starts at 5,09,000 rupees, and in comparison, the Ignis is actually cheaper, priced at 4,66,000 rupees ex-showroom, and that is a difference of 43,000 rupees, which in that sort of price range is quite substantial. And that difference is almost the same when it comes to the fully loaded versions too. The Freestyle Titanium Plus is priced at 6,94,000 rupees, while the Maruti Suzuki Ignis Alpha is priced much lower at 6,50,000 rupees. So as we've seen, the Ignis is slightly cheaper as compared to the Freestyle in terms of price, but in terms of design, both of these are the same segment, cross hatchback, but they approach design as an element very differently. The Freestyle, a lot curvier. The Ignis, of course, very boxy, very sort of distinctive in the way it's styled. That said, in terms of the cross part of things, both have very similar sort of attributes. Both get the big plastic cladding on the wheel arch and around the side, on the side skirt. The Freestyle gets a slightly thicker one. The Ignis is slightly smaller, slightly less pronounced. Both cars, 15-inch alloy wheels, and of course Freestyle is a slightly larger car by almost 25 centimeters. Ignis is slightly taller by about 25 mm. But of course the Freestyle, 190 mm of ground clearance as compared to 180 on the Ignis. So same segment but different ways of approach. But where the Freestyle scores higher on size, the Ignis trounces it with glitz. Daytime running lights, LED projector headlamps, and of course a whole bunch of customization options like the blacked out roof and mirrors on this particular example make it the sexier car of the two for sure and give it the X factor advantage over the Freestyle's more conventional appeal. And all that funkiness continues on the interior of the Ignis too. Customizable panels, color-coded central console and door handles, etc. give it that individualized look that so many people enjoy today. But where the Freestyle is a little boring with its overall design, it claws back the points with quality. The quality of plastics, overall fit and finish, and of course, the quality of that centrally mounted high-definition touchscreen. As we have mentioned on several occasions earlier, the Sync 3 equipped infotainment system on the Freestyle is the best in any sub 10 lakh rupee car in India today. In terms of features, though, both are equally matched. Both get Apple CarPlay, both get Android Auto, both get start-stop buttons, a reversing camera, parking sensors, and automatic climate control. The Ignis does, however, get inbuilt navigation too. In terms of space though, the Ignis, although smaller, again seems to score higher. It is a little higher set in terms of seating position, and that also makes getting in and out a lot easier. In fact, it is surprising how much space the Ignis packs in. Overall then, when it comes to cabin design, features and space between the two, the jury is hung. The Ignis excels in the space and design department, while the Freestyle offers better quality and of course that superior infotainment setup. Now when you buy a normal hatchback, you expect it to take you from point A to point B in relative comfort, and well, that's about it. When you buy a cross hatchback, you're making a statement. You want a little bit more fun from your life, and that's exactly what both these cars offer. Take the Freestyle for example. The steering wheel is nice to hold, and the steering feel from that steering wheel is even nicer. Let me go out on a limb and say this is the nicest handling car under 10 lakh rupees. Because, well, the steering box is just so pointy, so precise. Lane changes are so perfect. High speed cornering is lovely. And even slow speed cornering is nicely weighed up. This car is fun. It is fun to drive, and so is the Ignis. And that is mainly because of that 1.2 litre K12 engine that is under the bonnet. With its free revving nature, the Ignis has 82 horsepower and 113 Nm of torque to play with, and it does the job well. But then you get behind the wheel of the Freestyle and the new 1.2 litre Dragon engine. With more power, 95 bhp to be precise, and more torque at 120 Nm, the Freestyle absolutely trounces the Ignis here. To be honest, even with all the fun that the Ignis offers, in terms of dynamic performance, both in terms of handling and in terms of sheer power delivery and drivability, the Ford Freestyle is just a substantially better car. Now, one of the departments that the Ignis does score high in as compared to the Freestyle is actually the gearbox. Now, it's not only the fact that this 5-speed petrol is actually a nicer gearbox as compared to the new gearbox that the Freestyle has, it's also the fact that the Ignis offers that AMT automatic option. Now, earlier at launch, it only offered on the variant which was one below the highest spec. Then, of course, Maruti has introduced it on the highest spec option too. So that's always a positive, especially for an urban audience. So now let's talk about that one aspect that thankfully has become paramount for most Indian car buyers: safety. While the Ignis gets 2 airbags, ABS and ISOFIX as standard, the Freestyle offers more, a lot more. For starters, you get 6 airbags on the top spec. You also get ABS, anti-rollover protection, and for the first time in this price range, traction control. On the whole then, the Freestyle is a lot safer as compared to the Ignis. So here is the final score sheet. The Ignis wins at exterior and interior design, interior space and of course price. The Freestyle on the other hand wins at safety, vehicle dynamics, both in terms of drive performance and handling, and of course that lovely infotainment system. And therefore the verdict is a split one. If you are going to buy a car with your head, get that Ford Freestyle. But if your buying decision is one based on passion, get the Maruti Suzuki Ignis.
Welcome back. Let's get to those questions and answers. Okay, so the first question is from Ritik. The budget is 3 to 3.5 lakh rupees. The priorities are safety, comfort and a manual gearbox. What car to go for? Now, you know, I'm happy to see that you put safety ahead of comfort and everything else. And then that tells me that you would like a car that's well built and that's good on the safety front. And so which is why in that particular price band, I'm actually going to tell you to look in the used car space. If you get a used CIAZ or even a Baleno or, well, frankly, an i20, you're going to be better off because it's a better built product and therefore a lot safer. Also try and see if you can get one of the high-end versions because, you know, in the previous cars, you didn't always have airbags standard across the range. So I would say look for something that has dual airbags and ABS as standard, at least on the car you're buying. Kaustubh says the budget is 9 lakh rupees. Suggest me the best option for a four-wheeler strictly for on-road use with the diesel fuel option. Plenty of cars fall into that price bracket. You could look at some of the lower variants of some of the compact sedans. And frankly, since you're talking about on-road use, I'm guessing you'd like to be a little bit sporty there. So something like a Rapid would work really well for that. But having said that, if you want to look at all the features and don't want to really stay at the bottom end of any particular model range, well, then going for a premium hatchback makes sense. And right now, that's got to be the i20. Irvinder says he's confused between the BMW X5, the Mercedes-Benz GLE 250 and the GLC 220. What's the better option? Now, you know what, Irvinder, they're different segments, first off, but both the X5 and the GLE, well, they're kind of on their last legs. They're really sort of, you know, getting to being older generation in many ways, and more so the GLE than the X5 because it started its life as the ML, remember, this generation. So I would say that the GLC just makes more practical sense because even though it's a little bit smaller, it's the newer car. It's got the better electronics as far as the gadgets on board are concerned, and it's comfortable, it's good to drive. I think you'll like it, and you could also check out some of the service maintenance packages that Mercedes now offers, and possibly even the buyback option.
So do keep all your questions coming in on all our social media platforms, and Siddharth will answer them on the show every week. Now let's move on to the big two launches we had. Both sedans, both slightly different in terms of size though. One a subcompact sub 4 meter, one slightly larger. First one, the brand new second generation Honda Amaze, and the second one, well, it's the new Toyota Yaris. Prices have been announced already, but now it's officially been launched and deliveries will begin soon for both these cars. The brand new 2018 Honda Amaze subcompact sub 4 meter sedan has finally been launched in India. The new Amaze is available with both a petrol and a diesel engine and will take on the likes of the Volkswagen Amaze, the Ford Aspire, Hyundai Accent and of course the Maruti Suzuki Dzire. Here are the prices for the petrol version. The Honda Amaze Petrol gets a 1.2-litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. It makes 89 bhp of peak power and 110 Nm of peak torque. The engine is mated to a 5-speed manual or a CVT automatic gearbox. Fuel economy ratings for the petrol manual are at 19.5 km per litre, while the CVT petrol is rated at 19 km per litre according to ARAI test figures. The Honda Amaze also gets a 1.5-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel. While mated to the 5-speed manual gearbox, the engine makes 99 horsepower and 200 Nm of peak torque. It also gets 27.4 km per litre. The diesel engine is also available with a CVT gearbox, which is a first-in-class feature. The CVT diesel, however, makes less power and torque at 79 bhp and 160 Nm respectively. Fuel economy for the diesel CVT is rated at 23.8 km per litre. Here are the prices for the diesel variants. Honda has taken a very conservative approach to exterior design on the new Amaze. That said, it does get features like daytime running lights and alloy wheels, but misses out on features like LED or projector headlamps. On the interior side of things, though, the Amaze comes well equipped with the likes of a start-stop button, a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment with both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and climate control. The Amaze now also gets more space in the rear due to a longer wheelbase and has a center armrest for the rear passengers too. The Toyota Yaris has officially been launched in India with prices starting at 8,75,000 rupees ex-showroom. Prices for the automatic version of the Yaris starts at 9,95,000 rupees. Alternatively, the fully loaded manual is priced at 12,85,000 rupees with the fully spec'd VX variant of the CVT priced at 14,07,000 rupees. The Toyota Yaris in India will only come with a petrol engine that makes 108 bhp of peak power and 140 Nm of peak torque. The engine is mated to a 6-speed manual or a 7-step CVT gearbox. The manual variants have a fuel economy rating of 17.1 km per litre, while the CVT gets 17.8. The top spec CVT also gets paddle shifters. The Yaris takes on the likes of the Honda City, the Hyundai Verna, the Volkswagen VENTO and of course the Maruti Suzuki CIAZ, but it is the smallest of the lot in terms of exterior dimensions. In terms of features, you get touchscreen infotainment, climate control, a start button, a roof-mounted AC vent, but you also miss out on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The Yaris does have slightly less legroom in the rear, but seating position is great and it does have one of the most comfortable rear seats in its class. In terms of safety, the Yaris is also the most well equipped with 7 airbags, ABS and EBD and 4-wheel disc brakes. The Yaris also gets a rear parking camera and both rear and front parking sensors. So that's all we have time for today on CNB Bazaar Buzz. Do remember to send us all your questions. We will answer them. And always remember to wear your seatbelts if you're in a car. Doesn't matter if you're in the front seat or the rear. And wear that helmet if you're on the two-wheeler. Again, both up front and at the back. Thank you so much for watching and catch us next week right here on the NDTV network.